Hello there. Welcome back to Blue Heinz Garage. It's Sunday. We're here trying to get ready for wiring on old Hank. I'm not ready to start wiring it yet, but what I'm doing is figuring out routing. Look through the kit for explanations what needs to go where, so that I can prepare, like I say, some routing, drill some holes before all of this stuff gets finished. I don't want to be here drilling holes in the frame, drilling holes in the body after it's all painted. I want to do that ahead of time. So you can see here, I even took the doors off because it's a pain in the ass getting around the doors as you're trying to work on this. And here's what this thing looks like without a floor inside of it. So you see, I think I can show you better from the other side. On the cowl comes down. You see where the red roll of wire is hanging there. Over there in that far corner, the cowl comes down and it goes through. You see where the foot board is, how it goes up on an angle there. There's an area behind that where there's a foot on the cowl where it goes down and sits on the frame. And you can see I already drilled and put a grommet over there on that wall, that inside wall of that foot. I'm going to drill a hole in that foot and put a grommet, rubber grommet in there. So everything that goes down on that side, all the engine wiring, you know, the distributor, the stuff that goes to the starter solenoid, anything like the fan and all that stuff that's going up to the front, and the tail lights and everything that are routing to the back, I'm going to drill a 1-inch hole in that angled riser there where you see that rubber grommet. I'm going to go to the left of that rubber grommet an inch or two and drill a 1-inch hole, and I'll put a big rubber grommet in there, and I'll bring all those wires out right there so they'll be below the floor. And then the ones that go to the motor, I'll just run right over to the motor and up along the motor wherever I need them. Temperature sender, oil pressure sender, alternator, distributor. I'll route the wires right on the motor to wherever they need to go. The rest of them, I'll drill a hole below that in the frame. You see where the fuel line, that's not the fuel line. Yes, it is a fuel line. It's coming from the tank. You see where the fuel line goes down and goes under the frame? I'll drill a hole in the frame right there, so that anything going to the back or anything going to the front can enter the frame right there. And the frame will act as a conduit. Then I'll drill another hole up in front for like the fan wiring and that stuff on this side, the headlight and the horn and all that stuff wiring on the driver's side. In the back, I'll drill a hole, obviously, to exit the wiring going to the tail lights. And I need to do that same thing on this side. The thing I need to figure out now is how many wires and what size are going through those holes, so I know how big a grommet and a hole I need to drill. That's what I'm trying to establish and accomplish right now. So that's where we're at. It's a little painstaking and kind of confusing. You got to get pretty familiar with the harness, so that you understand what's got to go down on which side. You see up in here, well, first of all, there's a little sub dash for headlight switch, ignition switch. I think I put a dash mounted dimmer switch for the headlights, and the other one I think is a windshield wipers, the other switch. And then up in here underneath the dash is the panel. The fuse panel, a couple of relays there you're looking at right close to you. So that's where we're, the wiring you see heading off to the left here is the cooling fan, radiator, cooling fan. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. You see right now I have a 39 banjo wheel in here. I think I'm gonna, I don't know, I'm not sure. I think I might use this one because it finishes off better on the backside at the column. I have a 40 Ford wheel, but it's flat on the bottom. It looks ugly. This one here finishes off nice down right down to the column. And it's the wheel itself that does that. It doesn't need a sheet metal cone that I don't have. So, like I said, I believe this is the wheel I'm going to use. So that's where we're at right now. Anyway, more to follow. Talk to you later. Bye. Hello there. Welcome back to Blue Heinz Garage. Today is Tuesday, April 18th. We're back here doing some more on old Hank. Working on the wiring a little more. I'll just give you a little what I can show you here. It's kind of tough to show you anything in here. It's so crowded under here. This is the battery box. It hangs down underneath the seat. And you see it has terminals on the outside of it. You see the black one there and the red one there. Inside the box, the other side of these terminals, there's little short cables that go to the battery. And then on this side, obviously you extend the cables over to the engine and the chassis. Idea is that there's no openings, there's no holes, whatever, coming into the cab where air or whatever can water and all that stuff. It's closed off this way with the terminals, with the studs. They're designed for this. They're like a bulkhead fitting. Anyway, what I'm doing now is I'm creating a, for lack of a better term, a conduit to go from the battery box along the bottom of the frame over here to where the cables turn away from the frame and go to the motor, go to the starter solenoid and to the, I'm going to use one of the bolts right there on the bell housing where it bolts to the motor as the main ground. And then from there I'll run another conductor, I think a number 2 is what I plan, to go from there to the frame itself, to the chassis. I'll weld a stud somewhere on the chassis that I can bond the chassis, the steel, to the main battery ground. So anyway, what I'm doing here today is making that conduit. I'm going to use a piece of 3/4 by 1.5 inch rectangular tubing. This is 16th wall. You notice the black lines I drew on there. What I'm going to do is cut the top off of it and create a channel out of it. Roughly, you see this line right here, I'm going to cut it roughly that long. I just ordered extra. I always order extra. And that piece will make the top. I had them shear that so that you see there's a mark there and there's a mark there. I'm going to fold it there at 90 degrees so it'll make a cover that wraps over the sides. And on the ends, I think I'm going to leave the ends straight. I don't know. I might wrap the ends too. I'm not. I haven't. No, I'm not. I'm not, because here's the cable that's going to be running through it. And when you put the cable in there, the 2 cables in there, you see that the top can't hardly come down there. There's going to be these grommets around the cable. Anyway, that's what I'm going to start whittling this. I'm going to cut this with a disc inside the vertical so that I can just take a sanding disc and make a nice smooth edge. You know, grind it back to the vertical side so it'll be a nice smooth. Okay, let's give this a shot. See what I have there. You see the black line underneath the clamp? There's one just like that on the side where the piece of tubing is, and I'm thinking the tubing will work as a straight edge and give me a much straighter cut, so I'll have a lot less to grind after I'm done making the cut. And I'm using the die grinder. I could use the regular grinder 4.5-inch grinder, but it's already got a sanding disc in it, and I'm lazy. I'm trying to leave the sanding disc in there so I can use it after I'm done with the cut. So let's see if this works. I'll put you on a stand, I guess, later. Okay, let's see how this works. All right, let's cut the other side. I'm going to try this side with the 4.5-inch grinder. I think it's going to work a lot better. That's got the cover cut off. So now I have a channel instead of a, here, I have a channel instead of a tube. And it ain't going to take too much to cut this down. I'll show you more when I get it all cleaned up. There's what it looks like. So I got to clean that inside edge, make it flat. Okay, well, that's what that looks like, all cleaned up. Came out pretty good. It wasn't that hard, actually. So like I said, that's 16th inch wall. Okay, well, Scott came over and we got this far with this. So it's ready to mount on the frame. That's how it's going to look. You see the cables hanging out there. You're going to see that on the battery box end, and obviously a little tiny bit of cable on the starter motor end. And nothing in between. That was the whole point. Hide the cables, cover the cables, route the cables. Anyway, that's what it looks like. And on the end, the cables and that conduit, there's no room to make ends, so we eliminated that idea completely. Okay, well, here we are again. We got this thing pretty much fabricated yesterday, and I just finished putting it up here. So there it is. It's just like everything else here. There's so much stuff going on in such a little space, it's really hard to show you, but there it is. Let's see if I can get down a little lower. Maybe that's better. Oh, there. There it is. So you see there's the battery box. Cables will come out of the battery box, go in the end, the right-hand side, travel through there, come out the front. One will go to the back side of the bell housing bolts where it bolts to the motor, and the other one will go a little tiny bit further forward and go to the solenoid on the starter. So there you go. You see I got the section of exhaust pipe removed right there. Goes between there and there. So you can see I could work and you can see what it looks like. Hello there. Welcome back to Blue Heinz Garage. It is Thursday, the 20th of April. We're pretty much done underneath this for the time being. Underneath old Hank for the time being, the exhaust is fabricated. It needs to be completely welded at a later date when it gets all blown apart for finishing. I put that conduit thing up here yesterday for the battery main cables. So at this point, I believe we're about done underneath for the time being. I need to put it on the ground. I need to do a little more preliminary wiring in the interior. I'm going to put door switches for the dome light, so they go on as soon as you open it goes on as soon as you open the door. Need to drill some holes and for mounting those switches. I need to look into whether I have enough capacity to get all the wiring up into the roof and across to the back of the cab, up the windshield posts. In other words, there's the dome light, there's speaker wires, there's radio power, there's windshield wiper power, and there's a third brake light in the back header of the top. So, because you know, a lot of these old vehicles, the brake lights are down middle of the back tires. People don't see them a lot of times. They're not used. All the modern stuff is much higher, much brighter, much bigger. So a third brake light up where everybody's looking, or maybe where self-driving cars, now that no one drives anymore, can see them, is a good safety feature. So we're doing that here. I'm putting for your information, I'm putting a 47 Chevy taillight up in the rear header of the top on this vehicle. So anyway, it's time now to switch all this back around again. Put Time Machine back on the lift and old Hank back over here. So we're going to do that today. I'll put you on the tripod and let this run, and we'll edit it, you know, so you don't have to sit through all the boring parts. All right, later. Okay, so here goes. Solid as a rock. Hank back in. Let's see. Oh yeah, no problem. I'm going to sweep the floor over here on this side since I'm going to be laying over there once the truck is there. Okay, so to answer Sam's question, what do you see of the exhaust when the vehicle is on the ground, when you at the side of it? Here it is. That's, well, let's see. There's eye level, about 5'7" eye level. That's as you're going down. I mean, much lower, it still doesn't get visible. Higher, obviously, it's better. Basically, You don't see the exhaust until you're behind it almost. Well, you are. I'm right at the, the corner of it, you might say. So as I move towards the front, I'm still at the corner of it, but a little more towards the front. You don't see it anymore. So that's the answer to that question. All right, let's put it on the dollies and get it over where it's gonna live for the time being. Okay, so I don't know, that took maybe an hour? Maybe an hour? Know if you heard that. Something like that. Back to where we were, I don't know, a month ago. More to come. Thanks for watching. Bye. Okay, well, today is Saturday, April 22nd. And I did spend a little time out here yesterday. For whatever it's worth, I didn't get the camera out. I was trying to get something done. Got a little cleanup done here and put the doors back on. Put the floors back in. And put the door switches for the dome light in. Got a little information from Ron Francis Wireworks, or whatever you want to call it, the outfit that made the harness for this. So I can understand the fuse panel better, what the terminals are controlled by, which fuses controlled which terminals, and which ones are energized when the key is on, and which ones are energized all the time. Battery versus, shall we say, accessory or ignition. So anyway, like I said, did a little bit of that. So got a little progress, nothing like earth-shattering or whatever you want to call it, but a little more progress. Okay, that's where we're at right now. Okay, well, it is right now, as we speak, it is Monday afternoon, 24th, I believe, April 24th. Spent some time over the weekend just doing little odds and ends. You see, remove that cloth cover, that temporary cloth cover that was up here, just to keep all the wood from getting all dirty and nasty and dusty. Put the window and the garnish molding in on that door. Just wanted to try. It's a new regulator. Both regulators are new. Both glasses are broken, you notice, cracked. I wanted to try the regulator. What I'm doing right now is kind of testing everything before it gets blown apart, because I don't want to find out stuff doesn't fit after it's all painted. So I put the regulator in that door, and sure enough, I had to take it back out 2 or 3 times and tweak the arm a little bit. The arm turned out it was crooked, bent a little. Once I got it all nice and straight, the window works pretty good. There's no felts in the channels yet. The channels are there. There's no felts in them yet, so the window's really sloppy. But the regulator does crank it up and down. So that's all I wanted to make sure of. Like I said, I put the 2 garnish moldings in. The other thing I wanted to try, Scott's suggestion was to try the dropped headlight bar, and I put that in.
As you might expect, the angles at the fenders were a little bit off, but not enough to be a problem. So, and it really changes the appearance of the headlights being 2 inches lower, whatever that is, really changes the look of the truck. That's kind of amazing. The whole look of the front's different with the headlights down a bit lower. So anyway, that fit okay. What I'm doing right now is, and I put the white windshield frame, the one that chrome one that's been in there. The chrome is actually, the windshield frame is all rotten. The chrome is peeling off of it because the metal is rotten behind the chrome. So what I'm doing now is, you see here, this is again all mock-up stuff, and the carburetor is a Performer carburetor, I think, that has parts missing. Somebody gave it to me because it was used for parts, so stuff is not inside of it or whatever. I'm just using it here. I set up the throttle cable using that carburetor, and you notice there's nothing here for the springs to latch onto. So right now I'm making a bracket. I don't know if you guys remember the small blocks, the early ones anyway, had a bracket sticking up on that first 2 bolts of the manifold right there. So I'm attempting to recreate one of those. I don't know if you can buy those anymore or what, because, you know, that's kind of one of those items. Small blocks are long since not the latest. So I'm trying to make this bracket that would go in that location. Obviously this is flat. It's going to get bent into about 90 degrees, maybe a little less, probably 75 degrees. And then the spring, the 3 circles you see there will be holes. The spring will go in the top hole. The other 2 are just for aesthetics. So that's kind of what I'm up to right now. We're down to the short strokes kind of on this thing. I called the body shop this morning. The guy's going to call me in a day or 2 and schedule an appointment to come and look at it, so he can decide if he's interested in working on it and maybe give me a quote. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. Happy to have all of it. Hope you enjoy the videos. So see you later. Thanks. Okay, well, here's a little more. I really don't want to do this because it's not the last time. I wish it was the last time. I got to take this all apart. I put the dash in because I have to put 2 more switches in here. A selector switch for the fuel tanks, you know, left or right, and a push button for the horn. So what I think I'm going to do is, you see the little panel that's over there. That's headlights, ignition switch, windshield wiper, and high beam, low beam. So I think what I'm going to do is make a little 2-switch panel and put it over here in this corner. Similar to that, I'll put the little pipe, I'll try and bend the little pipe around it too. And put a little panel over here under the dash. So like I said, I put the dash in here so I could get an idea of what I wanted to do, and I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a little switch panel similar to that. A half of one, kind of. But anyway, I wish I was doing this for the last time. I like the way it looks. I'll show you from the other side. You can see it better without looking through the steering wheel. There's what it looks like. You know, I think I might even put the seat in here so I can sit in it and remember what it looks like sitting in it. It's been years, literally, since I've had this in here. So I'm liking how it looks. I just wish it was there permanently. But anyway, like I said, the guy's coming next week to, well, hopefully he's going to call me and come next week to look at, talk about painting. Because we're almost there, really. Anyway, see you later. Bye.